Welcome to another episode of The Boss Show. Today I'm very proud to be present the top realtor from the South Africa. His name is Aslam. So please introduce yourself to our community.
Hi everyone, my name is Aslam. I'm located in South Africa. I just want to a correction. I'm not a real estate agent, so I'm not a realtor, but I've been in property as an investor, and I used to work in the financial sector in banking. So I used to do commercial property finance. So that's where a lot of my experience comes, and from investing as well.
So can you tell to our community what the area that your service cover in that city? I mean in South Africa, right? Which city you specific to give the service?
Okay, so my focus when it comes to investing is only in the it's a province. So we have a province in South Africa. It's called Gauteng, but that's part. So I would say Johannesburg. But I've got a community, and that is basically national. So I provide real estate education to a lot of people that want to learn how to invest in the country. I teach them how to do that. I teach them how to assess property deals. But that's national. But when it comes to my own investments, I focus on Johannesburg.
Okay, it means you can teach your student for real estate, right?
Yes, so what I'm going to do here, just so that you have I'm just going to do this. You'll see my name here is going to change.
That is really, very interesting because you know when we talk about the real estate, it have many guru on the social media, YouTube and TikTok, but it's really difficult to study because what when your student come to the social media, they will get the look like the syndrome, many information, but they don't know who is the real man to teach him. I can feel you are the real man from the South Africa. So what you can help your student to achieve to be the investor?
Yes, I show them how to and to correct, because the real estate education, there are a lot of people that teach real estate education, but
Yes.
not everyone has actually been doing it. So a lot of people, they teach it, but they've never done it before. And also education is very hard to come by. Also in South Africa, I can't speak for the rest of the world, but in South Africa, most of the education for real estate that we see is more on the residential side. So you'll see mostly houses, and there's some education. I know one person, for example, who focuses on Airbnb. Two people I know, they focus on Airbnb. But I focus more on commercial real estate. I teach people a lot of commercial real estate, but also because I have invested in residential, the concepts are the same. The way you assess a commercial transaction is pretty much similar to how you would assess a commercial transaction when you look at it from an income perspective. They are very similar. So even with Airbnb, the numbers, they just change slightly. You have a little bit more costs when it comes to Airbnb, because you are actually, I always say Airbnb is not really commercial real estate investing. I say it's more hospitality. It's a combination, because it's like you're running a hotel sort of establishment, because you're responsible for the cleaning, you're responsible for the booking and the management. Any security, you've got to provide the Wi-Fi. You've got to furnish the place. So Airbnb is a little bit different. I call that more hospitality business. So it's sort of a hybrid. I think Airbnb is more of a hybrid. But the concept, like I said, when I'm teaching, so if I've got students that do Airbnb as well, and sometimes they don't know how to assess their numbers. That doesn't change in terms of how you assess your numbers and how you should value the property. How much should you pay for the property based on the forecasted cash flow? So that really is my speciality, teaching people how to actually assess transactions, how to finance them, and basically how to grow it through using leverage, through using debt finance, as well as leveraging other investor money.
That sounds interesting. So, if we have a short time, can you highlight your course online or personal training? What makes you different from another teacher, another coach, based on your area and in the industry of the real estate? What makes you different?
I think with for example, my website, the propertydealmaker.com, where we are trying to be different is by not just focusing on one area of a real estate. Because whenever I've looked at the other education, I just don't think that they look at the deals from the perspective of how a bank would look at it. So I think when I look at where my background is coming from, commercial property finance, I believe that is true. That is the true definition of being a property investor. Because when you go through the bank and you go through a home loans division, they look at the deals a lot different compared when you come to commercial property. So where it makes us a bit different is we're focusing more on how investors would look at transactions based on calculations that are used by the professional investor market. Not by someone who's just learned real estate like in the last 2 or 3 years. We apply more fundamental criteria, more theoretical and academic sort of criteria when we assess it. And I think the other biggest difference is how we focus more on commercial, because a lot of people believe when it comes to commercial, they believe that you need to be a big investor to get into commercial property. I feel residential property is very difficult because it's very management intensive. So you need to choose your investments carefully. For example, if someone came to me and they said that they are close to retirement, what sort of investment would they look at or should they look at? I will not focus on something like residential or even Airbnb, because think about it, when you're going into retirement, you don't want an asset class or a property investment that's going to take up a lot of your time. You want something that's more passive income, something that can manage itself. So in that case, for me, commercial property is a lot better, because you've got to first think about your intentions and where you are in your life. Maybe when you're someone who's younger and you have the energy to manage, you can manage property, and you don't mind the intense management that comes with things like student accommodation or Airbnb, then it's fine. But we go in a bit deeper, where we're actually teaching you how to choose the right investment for you based on where you are in your life. Not just, some people just make an investment just for the sake of making an investment. That is not our goal. I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm saying choose the property investment type that is suitable to where you are in your life, your resources, as well as your time and your profession. That makes a lot more sense. Because when you look at people that want to get into real estate, most of them have full-time jobs. So when you have a full-time job, how do you, and I used to do this, I used to work in the bank, and I was renting out property and I had businesses. It was very difficult for me, because I had to check on my full-time job, I had to check on my 2 businesses, I had to check on all the real estate that I had. It was very, very difficult. So coming with that experience, when I look at someone who's got a full-time job and they tell me they want to get into student accommodation, I don't think that's the best investment for them, because it's very management intensive. They're going to need to spend too much of time managing that asset. They need to find something that has a little bit less management, especially if they have a full-time job. So that's where we are a little bit different. It's not just also about painting the picture that real estate is easy, because it isn't easy. Let's face it, it's not easy. It's something that comes with a lot of stress on its own. but I think too many gurus out there, they make real estate to be this asset that's very easy to get into and you're going to get rich overnight. It doesn't work like that. Real estate is a very long-term investment, and I believe that it takes time to build wealth in real estate.
I think so. And no, your point is very important, and I 100% agree with you. When you focus about commercial, it's very difficult, it's very tough, and it's required with many things. But when you focus only that thing, it's too much different from residential, from home. Because what? The rule of management is too much different, and the rule of income is deficit world. We no need to take care about the commercial space too much. When I was young, I tried to find the commercial space for rent. It's really easy, sir. Everyone, if not me, in terms of the client, we want to rent that property, right? If we not rent, another one will become. In terms of the hotel or Airbnb, if your client not rent, maybe you will lack of income in that month immediately. Your goal is too much different. So, did you heard someone ever to ask about how much I need to have when I need to start about want to be the investor? How much I need to get in bank when we come to investment? Do you have any suggestion?
You know what, Terms, I get that question a lot, though I do have a lot of people who come to me and they ask, how do I get into real estate? How much money do I need? Or I have this amount of money.
Yes.
For most people, I don't think you can ever have the right amount of money to get into real estate. So I have a different philosophy when it comes to real estate. This is where I think it makes a big difference to look at your personal circumstances. And I'll tell you a very short story. When I was investing, I was working in the bank and I used to earn a decent salary. And I invested first in four real estate properties, residential. And then eventually I got to a point where the bank didn't want to give me any more finance because they said I can't afford any more loans. Mm-hmm. So then I brought on other investors and we started investing together. Then I had 10 properties and eventually I still had the exact same problem. The bank eventually then said, all of us now, we can't get any more additional loans. That was the first problem. This is one of the reasons I am more in favor of commercial, because in residential, the bank focuses more on your personal income, how much you earn as a salary, and they base your loan amount on what you earn as a salary, number one. Right? Number two is your capital. When you put capital into real estate, that money is stuck because real estate is not very liquid. You can't just sell it overnight. So if you've got, look, we work with rent, but for the sake of your audience understanding as well as mine, let's speak in dollars. If you have $10,000 to invest in real estate, once you put that money into 2 deals, maybe that $10,000 took you 10 years to save up. It means your money is now stuck until you can either refinance your property with the financier or you can save up more money, right? So my philosophy is that real estate is where you should magnify your wealth. Real estate is not where you should try to grow your wealth, right? So you should be taking real estate as the place where you can make your wealth become more and you can store it. But you need to create wealth somewhere else. So my philosophy is people need to have additional income sources, like in the form of a business. I'm very in favor of online businesses for people that work full-time, because the biggest challenge to most people getting into property or real estate is money. It's the biggest problem. So one of the things that I teach my students is how to attract investment from other people using social media, using online marketing. How do you attract attention from other people, so that when they see you doing deals, they want to come in, they want to invest with you. That is the only way you can continue growing. Because your question to me was, what is the perfect amount, or what's the ideal amount? I don't think there's an ideal amount. To me, what I've seen is that most property investors, some of the best ones that I've seen, they never use only their own money. They always leverage the money of other investors, because that is how you grow your wealth. Because real estate has a very high barrier to entry. There is a very a huge amount of capital requirements when it comes to doing any real estate deal. Think about Airbnb. Every time you are doing an Airbnb deal, you need to get money to put down the deposit for the property. If
That's
you are
right.
doing Airbnb arbitrage, you need to get money to furnish that Airbnb property.
Yes.
You need some money, for working capital for the business, right? So all of that, for some people, after they do one deal, they are stuck. They're stuck. So
Yes.
how do you continue growing that portfolio if you've invested all your money, right? So for me, even if I have some of my own money, I try my best not to use my own money. Because I know I have limited capital. I don't have unlimited capital. And I made that mistake before, where I put all my capital into 1 or 2 deals or 10 deals in my example, and then I was stuck. So I believe that there is no perfect amount of money to have for real estate, because most normal people will never have enough to continuously grow the portfolio. I think the secret is to build what I call a cash cow business. You need to have a business. I'm not talking about your job. If you have a full-time job that pays you very well, maybe you're a doctor or you're a lawyer and you're making good money, then maybe you have a lot of surplus cash flow if you're living within your means. But if you're someone who's working a service job in government, or you just have a normal 9 to 5, you're earning average income, you need to have another income source, and that other income source needs to generate capital that you can use to put into your real estate transactions, right? So to me, the answer is not more capital. The answer is more cash flow from another income source, so that you can continue growing your real estate portfolio and to attract other money. Social media, what you and I are doing now for YouTube and other social channels, this is what people should be doing. They should be documenting their journeys with whatever they're doing, and that is going to attract attention, and you'll find people that want to invest with you. That to me is the secret. Attracting other money to put into your property deals.
I love your strategy. That is really beautiful. So when we talk about the real estate, what is, based on your experience, what is the most difficult part for you?
Okay, I think the most difficult part when it comes to real estate is if you're talking about, for me, so I think the challenge is always the same, right? Finding deals, number one. Finding good deals is a challenge, because what I find is you don't find one deal by looking at one deal. You find one deal by looking at 20 deals. So it's a numbers game. So if you don't have a constant flow of deals coming in, then it becomes very, very difficult to grow your portfolio, because the first step is actually finding good deals. Number two, negotiations are very difficult. I don't think, and this is my personal experience in my market, I don't know how your market is, but sometimes I just feel that sellers want way too much. I think they overvalue their properties, so it makes it very difficult to do a transaction, because sometimes for most sellers, they don't use logic to put a value to the property. They use emotion to put a value to the property.
Yes.
Especially when it's a residential property, even when it's commercial, because you'll find maybe the property has been in the family for 30 years, and they put all this value on that property because the family has owned it for 30 years or 40 years, and that is not value that has been placed based on the numbers. That is value that has been placed there purely on emotion. So it makes it very difficult to do deals like that. And then I think financing is always very difficult. I think trying to find the finance is very difficult, because real estate is a long-term investment. So finding investors that have a long-term view for their money is very hard. because most people expect a return immediately. They don't have a 5-year or 10-year view on the real estate. They have a 3-year view, or they have a 1-year view, and they expect to make their money back a lot sooner. So I think those three things are very challenging, right? So it's finding the right deals, and then attracting the right type of investors to your deals. I think those are very, very challenging. And then obviously the sellers, I think the sellers very often overestimate the value of their properties based on emotion.
That's really interesting. So can you share our community, if you have the 1 minute, you can go back in time, you can talk with your younger version, what you want to tell them about real estate? Just only 1 minute.
I think, two little nuggets. One is, don't wait to get started in real estate. Just get started. Sometimes we want to get all the education before we get started. And that's a mistake, because you will learn more by actually doing deals than by studying books and listening. People should listen to this podcast. This is a great podcast. Follow Tamsai, he's got great content. Follow my content, it's great. But at the end of the day, you need to go out and you need to take action. That's how you are, that's how you are going to learn. And then, number two, I would say, get around the right people, because real estate is a team sport. So you need to get around people that are on the same journey as you, speaking the same language, and they have the same goals. And more often than not, you'll find that your friends, your family are probably not those people. Whether you find those communities online or whether you find those communities in the physical world through networking events, just get out there and start meeting people that are doing the same things that you are doing, and that is actually going to solution some of the problems. For example, finding investors for your deals. When you start networking, getting into the right communities, networking in the right way, that is how you're going to end up finding the right deals and finding investors for your deals.
That is really interesting. I'm ready to talk with you today. You are special. I believe your know-how, knowledge, your expertise will help my community to make the income in the future. So it's okay with you if my student or my future audience contact you. Can you give me the number or social media that we can follow you?
So I've got my website here on my name. It's thepropertydealmaker.com. But I also have a website. It's aslamdutoy.com. Maybe I'll just change this just for a moment, because you can also get hold of me directly over here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's my personal website. You can find me at aslamdutoy.com, and I do have a way for people to get hold of me directly there. I reply. And then I'm visible on TikTok. It's Aslam Dutoy on TikTok. I've got 3 channels on TikTok. 3 official channels. I have to just warn you that I do have some people that impersonate me. So you might find 40 different Aslam Dutoy accounts, but you know which is my correct account. So,
okay.
Just look for Aslam Dutoy, 3 main accounts, and then on Facebook also Aslam Dutoy. And also on Facebook, my Facebook page is The Property Deal Maker. That's the name of the Facebook page. And I reply personally to all my messages.
Okay, that sounds good. So, thank you for joining our community today, and good luck for you. Thank you so much, sir. Hello, champion. This is Tamsai. Welcome to Boss B&B. Imagine where you will be 6 months from now if income doesn't the issue that you need to bring to think before sleep. Imagine what if you feel if day after this day income doesn't the issue that you need to look the price when you bring your family go to the night restaurant. That is the result you will get from this program if you come with the fully commitment, would you? But if you think this program can make you get rich quick overnight by you no sweat in your hand or your back, this is not your pace.
Why this program can help you impact and can change your life? Well, number one, because this program can help you unlock and generate robotic income. The reason number two is this program allow you to have more time to scale your business and grow your company. Why? Because now you have money in your hand. You can own this world. Would you agree? So go ahead, click link below, watch and consume my free content.